All right. So here we are back for another live stream, taking a break from our original drawing, or not original, but the one that we've been working on here, which you can find under my live tab. It's a longer drawing where we're working with colored pencils to do an architectural drawing. But today I thought I would just mix it up a little bit. I was getting a little sick of looking at that drawing, and we're gonna draw a dog portrait. And you can see the source material in the corner there. It's like a Havanese Shih Tzu kind of a dog, and he's very furry, which um, I hear is a common complaint when talking about drawing different textures and stuff. And we're going to kind of work through that through some different techniques, make it a little less hard on all that are involved here. I'm just going to check some audio levels before we get started here. I also left links down in the description for the drawing tools if you want to check them out. If you shop those links in there, you'll help support my channel, which, by the way, is Breaking Patterns Art. I'm Kelvin. I will be your artist today. Hopefully soon my fiance will have some videos on here as well. They aren't, necessarily going to be live streamed, but definitely going to get her in on the action. Natalie, she is a great artist and is going to lend her talents to this as well. So I just need to check the audio levels. I've started to add music to these live streams, and I just want to make sure they're exactly the way that I want it to sound. Okay, so just give me one moment and we'll be on our way to streaming soon. Or drawing, I should say. Yeah, I just need to check the audio level and make sure it's not too loud for everybody. So just give me one moment and we'll be on our way to streaming soon. Or drawing, I should say. My fiance will have some videos on here as well. They aren't, necessarily going to be live streamed, but definitely going to get her in on the action. Natalie, she is a great artist and is going to lend her talents to this as well. So I just need to check the audio levels. I've started to add music. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. Sorry if that was playing over that, but we'll get it on our way here. It was a little bit high, but unfortunately, it's not like a really great way for me to check that right now, but we will continue on. So, what I've been using for all of these videos is a very cheap, basic drawing pencil set. If you don't even have this, you can just use a number 2 pencil. That's totally fine. This is just a 6 pencil set from Faber-Castell. It's got 6 different hardnesses or softnesses of graphite pencil. The harder the pencil, the lighter the lines, the softer the pencil, the darker the lines. Generally, you want to start with the or the lightest. I'm mixing myself up here. You want to start out with the hardest graphite to make light preliminary lines that you'll use to block in the shape of this puppy. And then later on, you'll use softer graphite to fill in details to give it a more illustrative look. Later, though, I was thinking that I could introduce a different set. This one is also available. In the bottom is the Gioconda drawing set. It's got 24 pieces in it. This is a little bit more expensive, but it will last you for a long time. But basically, it's got a whole bunch of things that you can use. It's got different charcoals. Different colors, lightnesses, and hardnesses. These would be things that you would finish it off with. We also have some interesting sepia kind of hues or brown hues or chalk. It also has a bunch of charcoal sticks, and then a shader, which is just like a rolled up piece of paper to a point, and he uses to kind of make shading. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that we need to use any of this today. We might use some charcoal stuff at the end. What also comes with it is a kneaded eraser, which I've already kind of used it already, but it's a squishy eraser and you can make it into little shapes. So you can get pinpoint little things that you need to erase without erasing a bunch of lines that you want to keep. And then it's just kind of like self-cleaning. Unlike this Statler Mars plastic eraser, a very good eraser, but it's not self-cleaning. You can see that there's black and blue all over it from other drawings. This is a really powerful eraser too, though. If you have something like this, that will work. You can also just use a pink pencil eraser. That is also acceptable. Link in the description. We will be doing that in the future, linking to all the materials. Also, to a very cheap notepad here, but actually has really good high quality paper for basically almost anything, because it is a mixed media pad, and it's by Mafoni. And you can also find a link for that in the description. If you shop using those links, you will be helping support the channel, as I do make these videos for free. I spend a lot of time thinking of what I'm going to draw and how I'm going to draw it for you all, and filming it is not free for me, it's free for you. So let's start off with, you can either do the 2H or the 2B. It kind of goes in decreasing softnesses here, so 2H is the hardest. They've been kind of doing that for all of these. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's just draw the basic shape of the dog's face, and we can break it down into kind of just like two shapes. I'm gonna move my source here too so I can see it better. Basically, he's a series of ovals. And don't worry if you don't get this right in the first go around, because really what this is preliminary. And pretty much none of these lines are going to show up in the end. And I'm sorry if this is light. It is very light, and the camera is going to have a hard time picking it up. I'm going to zoom in here. Maybe what I can do too is I can go darker, and you can just keep in mind that keep in mind you can make yours lighter. I'll make mine darker for the purposes of this video. That way you can kind of see. So this is sort of like his cheeks, and then he's got like a snoot, cute little snoot. I love dogs, by the way. I love dogs and cats. Some people are like, I'm a dog person, I'm a cat person. I love both. I love cats and dogs that are friends too. It's quite a cool thing to see. The other thing too that I want to do with this portrait is I want to end it where the fur, like let's say this is his collar here, I want to end the drawing here. So I'm already kind of thinking of how I'm going to frame this whole thing. And the thing that I'm looking at too is I'm looking at not just the parts, I'm looking at the whole. Zoom out here. It's all together. So I'm making sure that I have enough space for everything in this drawing. And this may be a little bit too high, but I'm also thinking about him in the context of the size of the paper. You wouldn't want to just like draw him in the corner down here and then all this white space would be in the drawing. So I'm going to think about that as well. And I'm just being really light and gingerly. with how I'm drawing this in. Okay, that seems like enough space. The other thing that is kind of something to keep in mind with all of this as well is like this really isn't the structure of his actual skull. This is like the structure of his whole like fur. If you gave this dog a bath, all this fur it would look like a completely different dog. And I know this because I've washed this dog and he looks completely different. So you always kind of have to keep that in mind when you're drawing too. What's bone? What's hair? What's muscle? This drawing is all about observing. Um, okay, so we've got something here. So just for reference, this is his mouth. This is like his snoot. That is the technical term, by the way, for a dog. Snoot. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna kind of do is put in where his eyes are. So his eyes are not completely center. He's kind of got his head tilted, and it's an important thing to note that. I think that's how you can get kind of some of the character of your subject. It's get these subtle facial cues that we kind of take for granted, right? Like we really take them for granted. Dogs, most mammals, we use our faces to communicate a lot more than just by speaking. If you have ever had a dog or you have a dog, you probably have noticed they always look at your face. They're looking for communication. And we do that too. Um, Even when we don't look somebody in the face or in the eyes, that communicates something. So I was a little off with, it's a little bit off with how I was drawing that, but that's okay. I think maybe overall I just made him a little bit too big. Or maybe this nose just needs to be bigger. Because now I'm like, oh, this is too wide. But really, if you look at his nose in the picture is just about a third of the size of this area. So that should mean there should be a nose here and a nose here. So this nose needs to be bigger. And that's fine. This is why we're doing the work now. We're doing the work of this now to make sure that everything is right. And even that, maybe his nose is too big. We'll get it right though, I promise you. So, yep. looks like there's that much on either side. And then also too, the thing of his nose is it's kind of tilted too, just like the eyes are. Now, how many eyes make the size of this? I challenge you on that one. Take a second. How many eyes fit across? If you're guessing, I'm going to say it's six. I think that's pretty accurate. So there's obviously the two eyes that are there. His head's kind of tilted, so, you know, on the right hand side, it looks like maybe it's like 1.5 to 2 eyes. But let's just go with there's one on each side, there's the two that are right there, and then there's like 1, 2, 3 in the middle. So altogether, that makes 7. Let's just start with the sides, right? And then how many eyes big is the nose? Like 2. So, yeah, this eye, and then it's like we got another one there. And then we have like and then 2 over there. Let's see now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's pretty close. I just kind of feel like I don't know. It's like the eyes should be bigger and closer together. It's gonna be difficult at first. Okay, it's getting somewhere. Now I'm gonna kind of just work in the actual shape of his nose. Right now, not like feeling it so confidently. So he's kind of got these like curls that go under. And they're like almost halfway. These go bigger. Boy, he's just got those big staring eyes. I love that. The other thing too is like His eyes have eyelids that kind of shape these to not just be giant circles. So he's kind of got, okay. All right, guys. So what should we do next? I think the next thing I want to do is maybe erase some of this. Maybe correct on this. Because this space isn't that round. Let's get the right shape for his face. Oh, interestingly enough, this is a Havanese, a chocolate party Havanese, and as far as I know, I think it is possible in some of the different types of Havanese, but this is like the one where it's like pretty common for them to actually have colored irises. Usually on a dog, it's just like their eyes are just like very black. Not always, but like they don't often have colored irises. It just happens sometimes. Whereas like chocolate party Havanese is like a lot of them really do. I think it's less common to see it in the chocolate party ones. But man, colored irises on a dog really give them character. Um, I did remember once that somebody I knew that worked at a daycare for dogs always talked about how this one dog had like people eyes. Like it would freak her out that this dog had colored irises and then they just like really looked like human eyes. And that's kind of how this dog's eyes are, but they're just kind of little circle eyes though. Okay, so I'm just kind of marking out these different color patches on this one. He's got different color patches, and maybe we'll use some of those brown pastels in the finishing of this because he's like not really a black and white dog. Like all this is really just kind of like different shades of brown. And then when we work in how we're gonna do the hair, which I'll show you, I think momentarily, like we're getting pretty close to being done here. A lot of the other drawings that we've done were architectural ones. So there was a lot of lines and angles that had to be right before we could do like the finishing touches. So this might be a relatively short drawing for what we need to do, really. Still kind of working out exactly what his shape is. Because it's harder to go back when you start laying down like these thicker pencils. It's easier right now to just keep erasing, keep going back, keep chiseling away, being like subtractive. Easily can erase the marks that we've made. It's way harder when you use lacquer marks, let's say. Just want to make sure that we get that. I believe when I took this picture, he wanted a treat that I had. If you can tell by the way that he's looking. Straight at, straight at me. Very hard. Okay, shall we move on? I think we should. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna look at my pencil box here, and it actually says 6B is the softest. So why don't I be a little more cautious and do the 4B first? And we'll see what that looks like. I'm gonna start by just laying down parts that are sort of dark, but not that dark. And that's how we're gonna draw the hair, is draw the shadows, right? Like, don't use a line to represent a hair. Draw shadows and make careful to see where the shadows are. Look at what the shape of them are. Look where they are in relation to other shadows and fill those in. That's really the way that I think about it. And if you're not sure what the darkest shadows are, squint. Do a squint at your drawing and look for those darkest parts and then what shape they are and just sort of fill those in. The more that you fill in, the safer marks that you think you can make, do those first, the better it's going to look overall. Because then you can be like, well, I got that shape in, I feel very confident about that. You then can block in other ones because they're nearby. It's all about measuring. It's all about seeing the parts and then seeing the whole. If you mess up, that's okay. You know, this notebook has, what, 60 pieces of paper in it? Just do another one. You also have an eraser. Erase little marks. Maybe there's some things that you can do to fix it. It's all a work in progress. The drawings are, you are, your skill level. So part of me really wants to like draw in the black part of his eye. So I'm just gonna do that. Kind of visualize what I got going on underneath the hood here. Do I really got this filled in nice? Keep in mind too, there's this little highlight in his eye. I don't have any white pencils. One thing you could do if you have like a white chalk pencil is fill in that part, the highlight with that, but I don't have that. So we're going to be using a combination of the whiteness of the paper and maybe eraser to like erase it out a little bit. I'll show you what I mean. So you have your kneaded eraser, make a point, and you can fill some of that in. That highlights in there. Might be a little bit too big, but we'll see. We'll see, it's all good. Okay, the other thing that we need to keep in mind is his colored iris. And if I look at the picture, there's like a hard black line for his eyelid. Which, believe it or not, dogs, cats, almost all mammals have two sets of eyelids, believe it or not. Yes. We're the weirdos. It's like us and dolphins that do not have double eyelids. I would love to hear an anthropologist or an evolutionary biologist take on why we ended up with no double eyelids. But there's a lot of things that make us unique in the animal kingdom, that's for sure. Okay, we got one eye filled in. The reason I'm doing the eyes too is just like, let's just make sure we have them in the right spot. Like circles don't exactly give all the complexity of the eye. It's really a series of a lot of different shapes to make the eye, and in a lot of cases, the most complicated part of the drawing. It's really how you get likeness. You might not be getting likeness right off the bat here, and that's okay. It takes kind of a lot of practice and just, frankly, just a lot of observational drawing to get it right. But likeness comes with time. And who knows, I might even finish this drawing and be like, well, it doesn't really look that much like him. But it'll still be a nice finished drawing, though. And add it to my portfolio, and you can too. And, you know, if people aren't looking at the picture that you use for this, they're not going to know, you know? It's all about growth and development here, guys. Don't let one drawing make or break you. You're going to make so many more. So many more drawings. I'm filling in the darkest parts here, and I'm making the shapes and sort of coloring them in. And then we still haven't really drawn like the darkest black marks that we're gonna make, but we're gonna save those until about the end. Let's do something interesting here. So I'm gonna take my Gioconda set here. Having a hard time opening it. There we go. I have like this red chalk. Boy, I don't know though. Do I want to do his iris with that red chalk? So it's not exactly the same color as his iris. But let's do it. Let's do it because we can just do like a limited palette of colors for this drawing. I'm just gonna do his eye. Just generally see what it looks like. Interesting. So I don't know if it's because it's a brand new pencil. I'm finding it rather, it's not grabbing. Like I could press really hard, but I don't want to do that. It's not really grabbing the way that I would have liked it to. Maybe if I give this a sharper, it changes. Because sometimes these things can be a little oily. The surface might get a little. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Kind of rejuvenated it when I give it a little bit of a sharpen. Okay, so what are some of the other darker areas? This is how we're gonna get this hair look that's gonna be nice. So I got my 4B pencil. So one area that I notice when I squint my eyes and look at this picture is sort of in the corner here, where his ear meets the rest of his fur. Oh, he's such a cute little dog. Did I mention I really like dogs? They just have so much personality. Pretty much all of them are really smart. Um, they're very fun to play with. They love playing in roughhousing. Um, Even little dogs like this, they love to play. Not all of them, when it comes to little dogs. I'm constantly looking back at my source material. You'll hear me say that a lot. But that really is like what I'm doing. I'm always like drawing a little, looking back at it. Just making sure that I get these shapes in the right place. And also the right shape. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of what you shouldn't do, but like, guys, don't worry about it. Usually what you want to do is you want to work left to right. I almost never really do that. Never really have either. Just over the years, I've just known to be cognizant of where my finger is, what's on it, you know, like, is there, you know, don't dip like your hand into something and rub across it, like you will smudge it. One thing that I have gotten in the habit of using is a piece of paper, like a scrap piece of paper to like lay down. If I need to be over here doing like lines like that, you know, I'll put a piece of paper down. And that helps a lot. Um, and then just overall just not strutting about it, guys. Like, the minute you stop thinking about whether this is going to be in a museum is the minute that like you start making great drawings that you can be proud of.
It feels so good, baby, it's understood. It feels so right, honey, to keep pushing into the night. Oh, it feels so good. Since an
This actually might be where I bring the scrap piece of paper in.
invincible baby, last of our kind. This is fabulous. We are the chosen one. We're the tower they built, where Jesus' secret hid. We're fortifiers in the sky and forgers of truth. Like a wide awake, sleepwalking tide, coming to bring on the feast of your lives. And it feels so good, baby, it's understood. It feels so right, honey, to keep pushing into the night. Oh, it feels so good. Sits in our humanhood. Oh, we're invincible, baby. Last of our kind. This is the swan song. You didn't think you'd be humming on. What the hell is going on? We started off so strong. Manufacturers of dreams, charlatans of love. Nothing here is really what it seems. Come on, praise now, lift up your voice. Oh, and it feels so good. Baby, it's understood. It feels so right. Just keep pushing
Okay.
We're invincible, baby. Last of our kind. Oh, 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 it feels so good. Maybe it's understood. It feels so right, honey. Just keep pushing, 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 pushing.
So the other thing too that's kind of nice about doing fur is you don't have to get it exactly right. Like if you finish this up and there's like, oh wow, I missed parts, that's okay. Like if you just get the general idea, that's kind of all that matters. It frankly does not matter if you get this looking exactly like a photograph. It is a drawing. It is stylized. That is the point of the drawing, really. It's different than a photograph, is it not? So just kind of keep that in mind when you're working on this. It doesn't need to look perfect. Generally, I really just love it if it looks like a dog. I'm kind of doing some like shading type shapes. I've run out of like dark passages in this. And remember, all I'm doing is drawing the shadows that you say they do kind of look like hairs, but I'm drawing shadows. I don't feel like I'm just drawing every single hair that I'm seeing. I'm drawing what look like hairs, but are really just shadows. And maybe I'll come in with the brown pretty soon on here. I have like a darker brown that will go really well with kind of a lot of the things I'm seeing here. Soon.
that I have a strong urge to thirst for the worst inside daydreams. I can see past the caravans, be caught inside an oyster, shimmering, glimmering, make waves in the sky, stick my tongue out, draw a line in the sand just because I can. Your face is mild, your will is strong. You tell me I belong with the swans, dancing, romancing. Cold river sighs keep me alive. Shimmering, glittering, make waves in the sky. Stick my tongue out, draw a line in the sand just because I can. Run our way to redemption.
Okay, so I keep wanting to use this pencil for parts that I want to actually introduce brown pencil in. And I'm not going to use that red one, at least not for all of it. Why don't we start with some of the red areas that I want to use this in? Because this really is like a chocolate kind of brown.
You keep me alive, keep me alive, keep me
Yeah, and see even that, I don't like the color of that. We can maybe save this for the nose. Save it for the nose, but like, I don't know, I'm good. I'm gonna try. So we have two. So we have like one that's called Sepia Light, and then we have one that's called Sepia Dark. And I'm just gonna go to a spot where I'm like less concerned about what it looks like. Okay, so Sepia Dark is really dark. And this stuff, by the way, you really want to go left or right with it. It's going to come off very easily. Okay, now let's see what Sepia Light looks like. Okay, so that's pretty dark too, but it is lighter. So it's not a false lying, but like it's a lot different than what the color of this looks like in the end. The end of the pencil has like a coloring on it to like kind of like pretend or at least show you what you're getting when you buy this. It just kind of feels not true. This looks really dark, not very light. But that's okay. Let's just draw. All about the drawing, yo. we're here for. That's what I'm here for, that is for sure. So one thing that I'm kind of like fighting the urge to do right now is to swipe this with my finger. Because it is sort of like pastel, you know? You know, I do have these other like chalks that come with it too that are kind of interesting. I'm wondering if I could just like brush. Oh, okay. Kind of gives it part of what I'm seeing on the page. He's kind of got like this gray, chalky kind of fur. It's like a mix of white and brown. It kind of makes it look a little gray, you know? So that's kind of interesting. Having a little hard time seeing because of the shine from the light. You could like use this to kind of give the direction of his hair. He's a very handsome dog. His hair is combed. So that's kind of cool. And then I can use maybe one of these darker pencils to get really dark. Give his eyes So this isn't exactly what I was like looking for in this. Just kind of like not the tonality that I need for this. I'm wondering if I like bring this little shader in here. You can kind of push some of this around and make it less hard. It's just very, very overall very. It's not what I'm looking for. Let's just put it that way. I was kind of thinking I would be able to smooth this in a lot more. But this little, I think these are just called like recycled paper shaders. They're basically giant lumps, mushed up paper, and then they cast it into this little torpedo shape. If you don't have one of these, they're very, very cheap to get. But you can also like use a piece of paper. It's just not as nice. There's other ones too that like once they get dirty, you can like unwrap them as well. Because they do get roughed up and you kind of lose the point on them. I'm just gonna pause here and let you catch up, but I'm gonna take a quick break here and we'll get back into it in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So I was kind of looking at this from far away, and I think I kind of got a good method going here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this pencil to put in some color where I see it hard, and we'll use our little recycled paper shader to feather it in a little bit to get some of these smooth lines that I'm seeing with him. And I think that these two pencils actually might be really good because I also have black ones that are like this. And we can smooth some of these in where it needs to be smooth, not the whole thing. And then we'll smooth in or keep other parts hard, leave them unsmooth. So if you're following along, that is what's going to happen here. And the parts that are white, not that there's a lot where it's really white, I'm going to keep them white or try to keep them that way. So if you're interested in getting this set that I'm working with right now to try this effect, link is down in the description for you to purchase. If you do decide to buy it, please use the link. That way you can give a little to my channel. You can thank me for doing this little tutorial with you. And I would be very, very appreciative if you did that. It tells me what you like, what I should keep doing, and so on and so forth for the channel in the future. You can kind of use it as a pencil too. Like if you get some pigment on here that you know could be feathered in like elsewhere, you can do that with this. And see, there you go. You're getting more of a fur kind of like effect with it. So this is more like a rusty brown, or no, this is the dark brown. Okay. That's right. I'm not smoothing out everything. I'm keeping some of these hard lines because you do need some of them in there because that is what actually appears. But then other parts are very, very smooth and feather-like. That's kind of what I'm doing here. Partially too, parts of this probably will be more like a base, more marks later to go over onto the top. So, for instance, I could give this a smoothing right here. Cool. So we're starting to get him blocked in. One thing that I do want to try though, okay, so I'm going to look at the different black pencils that I have. I'm not sure what all these do. This one says it's charcoal. So charcoal is like the softest of the soft. So I'm going to grab that one. And what is this one? That one also is a charcoal. Those look to be exactly the same. They have the same markings on them. Yeah, it looks like you get 2 of each. I don't know. We'll see. It's the way it goes sometimes. You don't really know until you start working it in. Okay.
Nah, mate. Ooh. Knock, knock. Something real, something raw, not accidental, no, I'm sure. You're not needed, show you the door, but what's that, yeah, are you sure? Yeah, that's a rental, yeah, what a bore. Lying, nothing in the core. Buying, yeah, what for? But do what I need to, always sure. Something real, something raw, not accidental, no, I'm sure. You're not needed, show you the door. What's that, yeah, are you sure? Yeah, that's a rental, yeah, what a bore. Lying, nothing in the core. Buying, yeah, what for? But do what I need to, always sure. Boring, never been that. I get paid, bro, just to relax. Yeah, more money now, yeah, more tax. Sorted it now, don't worry about that. Boring, yeah, I've never been that. I get paid, bro, just to relax. Yeah, more money, but yeah, more tax. But sorted it now, don't worry about that. Flexing, yeah, but your soul is empty. Dripping in diamonds, Fenty. Dripping in vibes, got plenty. Got the technique, yeah, like Jet Li. Ow. One little chop like pow. One little hit like wow. Living for the now, live for the sound. Nice for the dollar, but I'm making a pound. Yeah. Worry about that. No, don't worry about that. Worry about that. Worry about that. Like, no, don't worry about that. Something. Worry about that. No, don't worry about that. Worry about that. Worry about that. Like, no, don't worry about that. Something real, something raw, not accidental. No, I'm sure you're not needed. Show you the door. What's that? Yeah, are you sure? Yeah, that's a rental. Yeah, what a bore. Lying, nothing in the core. Buying, yeah, what for? Do what I need to. Always sure. Something real, something raw, not accidental, no, I'm sure. You're not needed, show you the door. What's that, yeah, are you sure? Yeah, that's a rental, yeah, what for? Lying, nothing in the core. Buying, yeah, what for? But do what I need to, always sure. Knocking on the door, knocking on it one time, knocking on the door. Always sure. Knocking on the door, one time, knocking on the door. Knock. Hello, something real, something raw, not accidental, no, I'm sure. You're not needed, show you the door. What's that, yeah, are you sure? Yeah, that's a rental, yeah, what a bore, lying, nothing in the core, buying, yeah, what you for? Do what I need to, always sure, fuck off. That's what you gotta tell them sometime, you know. Fuck off. See you later, mate, all the best, all the best. Something real, something raw, not accidental, no, I'm sure. Something real, something raw, not accidental, no, I'm sure. Nah, never been sorry.
So the other thing too that's interesting about chocolate party habaneses is they have chocolate noses. Like literally looks like they have chocolate for a nose. It's adorable. It is just so adorable. And I got these little tufts that stick out at the top there. It's very, very adorable. He's a feisty little dog, in case you're wondering. This power pose that he has here is very much his personality in a nutshell. He's just a very, very silly little dog. Many different moods. When he was tired, he was very tired. When he was happy, he was very happy. Getting there. This bottom portion kind of got away from me, and wondering if I can kind of correct that. The bottom portion of this nose. This is way too long of a nose, and that's just not how it goes. I'm wondering if I can fix that up, or if it's going to be screwed up. It does kind of fix it up. The side still looks a little big too. I'm not going to stress about it though. This little shader thing really helps with some of the permanence that comes from these like charcoals, which is probably why they're in the it was in the set with them. Um, so the thing that kind of isn't working out that well with this is this charcoal does not go very well over the graphite. It's kind of like resisting, or the graphite is resisting charcoal. That's kind of a pain. But it's almost like the charcoal picks the graphite up and smooths the charcoal so it won't come through. Maybe it would have been better to do the darkest blacks last. But hey, I'm not gonna sweat it. The more layers you kind of put into this, the better it just kind of ends up looking. All drawings and paintings too, I could tend to go through an ugly phase. You just don't stop. Keep working on it. Experiment. See what works. See what doesn't. Take note of it and make changes accordingly. As long as you don't overwork it too, the pencil working with the charcoal actually will probably add different dimensions to this that will look decent. The dog's fur is complex. And you want that to come through in your drawing.
Baby, I can believe it. 이렇게 일을 다녀왔어. 하루 종일 all day. 어쩌다인지도 모르게 쓰러졌어. 그렇게 만져. 끝없이 해마다 다시 chasing you again. 잡힐 듯 스치듯 하루 미끄러져. You make me better than I've ever been. 온종일 너의 곁을 떠나기가 싫어. 어지러운 지금 이 느낌이 좋아. Right now 점점 더 빠져들어가. 내 숨이 차올라. 너의 사랑을 받아. 쓰러지자. No, I can't stop this feeling. Baby, 나는 네가 무슨 생각인지 도저히 모르겠어. No matter what, 작은 말조차도 나에게 fancy해. 끝없이 해마다 다시 chasing you again. 내게 하고 싶은 말. Baby, one more time. Oh, you make me better than I've ever been. 온종일 너의 곁을 떠나기가 싫어. 어지러운 지금 이 느낌이
So one thing that's kind of nice is I'm sort of getting this gray tone that I was trying to figure out how to get down here in this area. And I think I've kind of just solved it by doing it over here. And we'll see how it looks. So you need to have like this shading going on underneath his chin to really complete the portrait. And this may be like the last kind of areas that we'll work on in this drawing, but this is kind of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like experimenting, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, making note of it, and then implementing it. I'm gonna try something too in this area. See if it works. This area is sort of like he has brown hair and black hair at the same time. I wonder if bring a whole bunch of this black and brown, do some color mixing on the surface. Need some more over there too. What I'm seeing.
Some things I never thought I needed. Some things I never thought I'd have. As if they are too hard to believe in. The moment I ever called them mine.
Yeah, that's looking right.
I knew exactly what to say. There will be nothing to get over if I just let it slip away. So I guess I'll try. Yet another close call from my
So I'm not entirely
eyes.
sure if I'm liking this, royalty-free, sort of just generic
Sometimes I
music
think of what I
in the
have
background.
been.
Nothing is stuck out as like
If
too
I
annoying. It's
wasn't
just like, man, if I had it my way, I would just play like Zeppelin in the background like the whole time. Just straight up, just Led Zeppelin. Only that. Um, but with the nature of copyright and things like that, right now, anyways, things are changing a little bit. Um, Creators want good music for their backgrounds. It's just like, it's not always that great what's out there, A lot of it can be really repetitive. It's not really like a song either. This stuff is getting better. Like it is sort of like a song. Um, and that's kind of nice, but it's just really generic. Wouldn't you want to see me draw this dog to like Immigrant Song or like Fool in the Rain? That would be really nice. But unfortunately, that's not really an option at this point. Hell, I even remember like what was it, 2015 or 2016 when it finally was on Spotify. So, baby steps, okay? Baby steps. Take it easy. Don't trash talk it too much. Okay, we're getting kind of to the finishing stages of like his snoot. It's all kind of a very delicate process and decision making too, like what to keep smooth or what to keep hard and what to smooth. Some of this music is like very clearly for like, Halloween or something too. Like it's just background music. Go ahead and switch that song. Let me take a second here and take a step back. It's always important too.
Let's stop and stare for a minute, 'cause there is divinity there where the sinners breathe. They work their jaws, raise the hands of beyond for the physical, limited destiny. Free. It's not the light, the truth is within. Lead. Call upon the grace, the spirit. The stars, the moon, the ocean, wind submerge my face. I flee to bliss, I'm free from pain. On my left I find, I work, I hurt, I listen inside each breath. Desires, 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 desires. No sunlight's off, I'm annoyed, I'm trying to focus. You fighting the void, could you quiet the noise? I'm paid to record, not delivered by the money, I'm at vantage point. Message from the highest, now it's coming up my mouth. Let it rain down on my body, watch it blossom in a month. We did the labor for nobody, now it's time to bear the fruits of the art of our souls. Let the truth once again. I'm so ready, 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 let's surrender. I stand here red-handed with the evidence. The simplest expression is of infinite. I'm sent to experience the visions of the limitless. I animate this body to its destined death. All my life I find there's always so much more. Just beyond the form. You feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it for once. Sex, do it right. Sex, through the night. Sex, do it right. Sex, through the night.
See, like this song, like, what? Really? Like we're drawing a picture of a dog. I don't know, I just kind of have it like on a random playlist, so it's not like I've listened through these, I have control over this, like it's just kind of rolling. Free Spirit. It's all like from playlists and stuff, but you know. One thing that you can do too when you lay down a bunch of stuff like this, so if you see like a highlight, you can take your kneaded eraser and kind of do a streak through it. It's kind of an old school tip that I learned many, many moons ago. You can just go make like a white streak through here and there to give it this fur kind of effect.
Wanna make you happy and then she goes. 나만 혼자 남겨뒀어. 대화가 필요해. 너 먼저 나에게 말해봐. 너와 나의 이 관계가 달라졌음 해. We're out of time. So tell me you want more. 지나가버린 추억 너무 잦은 다툼 가끔씩은 지치기도 해 이제는 너무 익숙해져 버린 너의 안성들이 난 더 이상 하고 싶지 않아 So baby tell me why not 너와 나의 그 차이가 Why not Don't know what to do with you But why not 너와 나의 그 차이가 You and I just wanted more 너와 함께 있을 때 예전엔 안 그랬는데 그냥 집에 가고 싶을 때도 있어 너도 가끔 막히잖아 우린 예전 같지 않아 너랑 차라리 끝내려고 해 지나가버린 추억 너무 잦은 다툼 가끔씩은 지치기도 해 이제는 너무 익숙해져 버린 너의 한숨들이 난 더 이상 하고 싶지 않아 So baby tell me why not 너와 나의 그 차이가 Why not Don't know what to do with you But why not 너와 나의 그 차이가 You and I just wanted more
I am kind of realizing that when I lay this down and I look at it in the monitor, that there is like some shine coming off of this. And it's because of like the graphite that I used earlier. Looks quite different when you tilt it. Looks a lot warmer and a lot richer. Then when you lay it down, it's like loses it because of the shine from the light. I wonder if I can kind of fix that or adjust that. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Just want it to look nice for y'all too. This one. Just lightly coloring, and I just keep blending with that. It's a really nice effect with that paper thing. I was wondering if I was even going to use it, actually. I was like, well, this isn't the time or the place to use it. You know, like you use it for like shading graphite, not charcoal. And lo and behold, I learned something today. It actually works very well with the charcoal. I can see why it was paired in there with the rest of these type of pencils. So getting close here to finishing this off. Need to make sure that it's shaped right. And the dark lines are where they need to be and where the smooths need to be. I'm just going to take a picture. My fiance is making art right now as well. Sent me a picture of what she is working on. So I reciprocated. It's very important to share what you're working on with other people. Now, you don't have to. That's not, you don't have to. But it is always good to share with people because they can feel inspired. They can do some art too. Um, they'll give you feedback too, you know, hopefully it's constructive. You know, don't bother if you know, the criticism or the feedback that you get is negative. You want constructive feedback, you know, one with a good faith behind it, feedback. You know, just because somebody's like, wow, you could have done this a little bit differently, that's good feedback. So don't take that personally. Listen to it, learn from it, grow from it. But if people are just straight up being negative, don't bother. Their opinion shouldn't matter to you or really anybody else's because it's just not helpful. And you know, sometimes you can do that too, and it's hard to get away from it. And people don't necessarily always know that they're doing it. But when it comes to making art, though, you want this to be a productive experience. So that's kind of why I just say to avoid it if possible. Because it's not going to help you produce more. It's not going to make you want to go back and keep trying to do different things and new things. It's going to make you want to stop. But that's why we always share things with each other. Always encouraging one another. You know, get some art friends that make art too and help and encourage one another. Don't tear each other down, build each other up, help one another with each other's projects. I used to know a guy when I first started going to art school that, didn't uh, graduate high school because he was, kind of a bad kid. Not because he wasn't smart or didn't try. It's because he didn't try. And he would always be like, "You can't draw, you can't do, not like me, I'm a really good drawer," and it's just like, yeah, yeah. I never took his criticisms that seriously because he never really did anything. He was not somebody that I was looking up to at all. He wasn't really that good of a drawer either, to be honest. He had some talent, but um, it wasn't something he was pursuing full time or anything like that. He just was never really working on anything. And I was like really, really, really trying to like make this into something, to make this into my life, and I still am today. And I always have. So I just kept doing me and continue to do so today, and I encourage you all to do the same. Do you, be you, do what you love. Get rid of attachment. When you start getting rid of attachment, you start making things that you love, that you feel good about, what you can let go today. What if you made something and somebody wanted to buy it from you, and it was like your best painting or your best drawing, and if you sold it to them, you'd never see it again. Would you be able to do that today? And if the answer is no, how can you get to that point? How can you get to the point where you could let something go like that? Okay, so that's our finished pet portrait. Um, yeah, happy with that. No, okay. There's always something else. I'm having a little hard time seeing how this looks, without putting my head right underneath the camera. You don't want that. So I'm always kind of looking at this stuff like at an angle. And then when I look at the camera, it looks a lot different straight on. This one's more like a colored pencil. It's weird too, because when I look at the camera, it's like this stuff is so light. But when I'm looking at it in real life, it just seems very filled in, not so light. I guess I do want part of it to be light, but not the whole thing. You really want this to be filled in with charcoal, really. I'm not happy. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to manhandle this one off camera. It just really doesn't want to give. So I guess next time, for future reference, I want to do the eyes with graphite first, because I really want those to be very, very dark. So there's something else I could try. It could be one of these charcoal briquettes, if you want to call them a briquette. charcoal pieces. Or is this graphite? No, yeah, this is graphite. So do I have ones that are charcoal? Yeah, so this one's charcoal. And so, where am I charcoal? So one thing that I could change up here. The shape of this eye. Remember what I said. These areas are kind of the most important. The eyes, that gives it the most likeness. So I could do some fine tuning, get it close to being right, and chisel away. The colored irises of his eyes aren't that big.
Yeah. Hey. Don't go shooting all the dogs, cause one of them got fleas. Don't just listen to these songs and think that you got grease. They just lyrics, I be venting to this mic, it's therapy. You could leave, but the other guys is whack, they not me. Godspeed, sweetie, living out my dreams. I don't need a genie. Pops did Madonna shows, music in my blood, it was destined for me. Way before I even fucking seen a CD. Cross the wrong line, you gon' need a treaty. Peace is a lie, there is only passion. And through passion I get stronger. Long days working on getting better, but they only get longer. Getting there is half the battle, staying there is much harder. I've been flying out to islands so remote we must charter. Been a pro for 10 years, trying to go another 10. Going hard like Vince Carter. Leave something for my son and my daughter in case of my departure.
You know that I'll always try to get it right. I'm working hard to leave a legacy behind. Yeah, you know that I'll always fight for what is mine. I'm
Okay,
working hard
I
to
don't know. I'm pretty
leave a
happy with that.
legacy behind.
Yeah, leave it for my little ones,
I'm
my
loving
real
it.
ones, for people trying to feel
It's not
some. All
perfect,
the
but
bridges burned along the
I
way,
can
and
give
now
it
we
another
still
shot if I
burn.
wanted
Still pray,
to.
even though we
Maybe
underwater,
I'd get it
elevate
a
the
little bit
close
better.
edge and overcome
A
like
bit of an
Avatar. We build
experiment,
with
that's for
isotope.
sure.
Feel there's more for me to do until
Bit
I
of an
call it quits.
experiment.
Everything I do is for the ones I love and
But every
miss.
drawing
Take some
is an
time, water
experiment,
flowers till
really,
they
when you
grow and
think
split.
about it.
Then take the seeds, plant them back, and you control the ship. Navigating through the eye of the storm, live through the lows, got me higher in form. Soldier soul, now you got buyer's remorse. I stay composed when them blood
An
suckers hit me
experiment
with
of
a
your
tireless
mind.
swarm. I've been
It's
down,
an
but never
experiment with
finished.
the
Been bound to higher
materials.
limits, walking past up in the thinnest. Almost lost myself within it. All the roads that end the quickest means you didn't take it farther. I gotta go harder in case of my departure.
You know that I'll always try to get it right. I'm working hard to leave a legacy behind. Yeah, you know that I'll always fight for
I don't know.
what is
I'm
mine.
gonna
I'm
declare that one
working hard
finished.
to leave a legacy behind.
And work on another drawing real soon with you. Some final thoughts here. So this charcoal stuff never stops smudging. Okay. So one thing you can do is go out to your craft store and get yourself something called fixative. Now there's two different kinds. There's workable fixative and then there's just regular fixative. The workable fixative you can keep using um y- over a couple days or whatever you want to work into it again. It'll let you do that, but it won't smudge. Um, Waiting for you to draw on it again. And the other is permanent fixative, and Basically, it's just a clear coat that you spray on a paper. You can't even see it, but it stops this stuff from smudging. One thing that I used to use in high school when I couldn't afford things like a fixative is I would use hairspray. You can just use a light thing of hairspray, and that'll do the trick as well, and it'll smell kind of weird too. It'll just smell like hairspray. But that's all for me today. I hope that you subscribe to my channel. That way you know every time I come on with a new video. And I'll see you again soon here at Breaking Patterns.